All right, back for part 2 of the TriMet board testimony. Who's that? That's one of their TriMet lucky secretaries. Okay.
You go.
Mm-hmm. I'm Debbie Gordon, and I live at 2315 Northeast 55th Avenue. Acting President Stovall and members of the board. First, thank you for your service.
Acting President Stovall? What happened? Did Warren fly the coop?
And dedication to high-quality mass transit in our metropolitan region. I'm here as a mother and a grandmother and 30-year volunteer with Portland Public Schools, where I work to make all schools better for all kids.
Good.
I know how much students and their families rely on TriMet to get them where they need to go. On February 4th, 500 Oregon health leaders from the Oregon Public Health Association declared that climate change is a public health emergency. Their policy recommendations include meeting and strengthening Oregon's greenhouse gas emissions reductions goals, transition...
I got to hand it to these people. They try. But you're too late, okay? The policy's been set. You're too late. You should have talked to Kate Brown. The real power for TriMet is in the Oregon legislature and Kate Brown, not these board of directors. They are sock puppets. They don't set policy.
To renewable energy and to zero carbon emissions transportation systems.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
We know that you know this already. One of the program concepts in the transportation investment package that will go to voters in November is a transit vehicle electrification program. I quote from the description, reducing diesel particulate emissions will have significant impacts on public health outcomes and air quality metrics. And since many current transit lines run through the communities of people of color and lower income communities, the program will help advance the council's racial equity goals. I'm grateful that East Portland is getting better bus service, and I support the Division Transit project, but an equity lens requires both better increased service and public health consideration to those historically underserved.
Yep.
It was a shock when I learned that TriMet has ordered 159 new diesel buses. Adding 31 new diesel buses to the Division Transit route will be increasing diesel particulate emissions up and down the corridor, having negative impacts on public health outcomes in those neighborhoods. That is going backward, not forward. To achieve Metro's racial equity goals, there must be urgency to develop a zero emissions fleet transition program. Climate change is a public health emergency. An equity lens places the first electric buses available on the Division Transit project route. A climate lens builds a zero emissions fleet now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Vice President Stovall, members of the board,
Too
for
late.
the record, I am Tracy Farwell, a member of Engineers for a Sustainable Future. Like everybody else, I understand public health and accept the facts reported to us concerning public health. We recently learned that worsening conditions led the Oregon Public Health Association to declare that climate change is a public health emergency. This raises so many questions about TriMet's ability to deal with emerging facts.
Yep.
To date, TriMet has not published the decision criteria used to justify expanding its diesel fleet. But it's obvious that public health protection is not on the list.
Yep.
To engage with TriMet in conversation about zero emissions technology for Portland is to be met by a barrage of gaslight dismissals of unreported performance risk, while fleet managers all over the country have moved out with committed, robust fleet transition programs. TriMet's current board approved plan is to pollute Portland for another 5 years with no significant cuts in annual pollution. You can read that in the non-diesel bus report plan. Can TriMet quote the cost of funding a responsive zero-emissions fleet transition program that cuts emissions 8% per year to achieve the necessary 45% reduction by 2030? If not, TriMet program financing will not appear on the pending Metro funding measure permitting even more years of pollution. How can this happen? If the unelected TriMet agency, supervised by an unelected board authorizing public monies to be spent on investments, apparently has no public health obligation, might be a good idea to stop the incivility. Now, I'm going with Peter Laughing Wolf because right here on the paper it says stop the insanity, which is not very civil. Okay, so I'm going with this sense of civility that we all need. Now, a candid response for the record between today's agenda items from the board would be entirely appropriate. And I would exempt Director Way because she never voted for the diesel bus resolution, nor did Director Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have one comment. We have a quick comment or question.
Come on.
Would it be possible for the general manager to address?
Yeah, where's
you know,
Kelsey? Talk about, I'm not Kelsey.
Right, thank
Open your fucking
And
mouth.
furthermore, actually, if you want to, when we take a vote, we generally will give some thoughts and ideas as we take that vote. And
Yeah,
for this
sure.
issue, there
All
was
bullshit.
extensive board response.
Yeah, right.
Specifically to this vote.
Doesn't do
so
any
we
good.
can actually, revisit that. We do have the videotape of that meeting specifically to how the board addressed the question of the diesel bus purchase.
You voted yes on the diesel bus purchase. Okay, I don't want to hear any more garbage. You voted yes. Don't do the congressional bullshit like, oh, it was 51-50 in favor of Trump. We lost by one vote. The only thing that matters is that you lose. Okay, your board supported Kelsey. The rest of it doesn't matter.
It was quite extensive in the conversation.
He's
there was,
lying. Bullshit.
Quite extensive
Bullshit liar.
public comment at that meeting.
Nah,
so
bullshit
certainly,
liar.
that actually we do have the opportunity to go back and revisit.
Yeah,
that.
right. So go look at it and you see the board voted for
Is
it.
there a question?
If the decision were to be reconsidered
It's not
with
going to.
another board vote, I don't see how anyone could vote for that resolution today.
Yeah, you don't know the TriMet board,
Thank you.
obviously.
We appreciate your comments.
No, you don't. You don't care.
Next up, we have Jonathan Hunt
Oh,
and Rachel Rodri.
John Hunt. ATU 757.
Mr. Hunt, welcome.
Good morning, Vice President Stovall, members of the board, General Manager Kelsey.
Kelsey hasn't said a word yet. Nothing, not a goddamn word. He's been just sitting there, letting the board be his buffer. That's what the board does. The board screens the general manager from the public. That's the whole purpose of this, is to keep the general manager from having to deal with the public.
The General Counsel, Divine, staff, members, Jonathan Hunt, Vice President, Assistant Business Agent of Amalgamated Transit Division 757. I'm here to echo what has been brought forward from my fellow journeyman mechanics and my fellow officers on what's continued going on at TriMet. You've heard of contracting out. one would ask, why aren't we talking to our partners, the relationship we have before taking these actions? We're going to talk about budgeting or time or the ability to take care of this work. Those are conversations to take place with your partners.
They're not your partners, John. Their effort is to bust you. Don't you know that by now? They don't want to talk to you. They want to bust the union. And so far they've been doing it just fine. They don't care about you. Why should they? There's no solidarity over there. You can't do anything to them.
When I was here last time, President Warner indicated that he was going to have a conversation with the general manager and the board concerning how contract negotiations have went. I'm curious if anybody can share with what's taken place or if that meeting ever did take place.
A meeting has not taken place yet.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And I remember him saying that at the last board meeting. They didn't do it, okay? They lied right to his face, and they're going to lie to his face again. They're liars, they're thieves, they're cheats, they're government.
Scheduled. Yeah.
Well, since then, it's been a month.
Yeah.
I'd like to give you a report on what's taken place on the other side. Contract negotiations has stalled.
Yeah.
We have not only have we removed dates to negotiate, as Financial Secretary Mary Longoria pointed out, we're going to court, to the Employment Relations Board.
All right. TriMet is counting on them. That's the NLRB has completely changed since Trump's taken over. He's turned all these agencies anti-union, which was what he was installed for. Don't forget, Donald Trump was installed by the oligarchy. He was not elected by the people. He was installed by the oligarchy in order to break unions and break the public. And, he's been able to fool the morons of America, as I call them, into thinking he actually cares about him. At the same time, he's cutting their throat. And they haven't figured it out. And they probably never will. I mean, they're like the German people under Hitler. They never figured it out that their dear Fuhrer was going to get them all killed. But he did. He got them all killed. And they still love them. And that's what we have with Trump.
Why are we going there? Because TriMet is attempting to take away over 40 years worth of collective bargaining. They're trying to say, hey, you know what? We believe this apprenticeship program is not a mandatory subject of bargaining. And that is just absolutely untrue. When you look at and define what an apprenticeship program gives you, the state certifications, the safety aspects, the opportunities for movement, it absolutely has a direct relation with this job and within the collective bargaining agreement. And it's really unfortunate that we're not sitting down and having those conversations. We're attempting to have a third party that, quite frankly, doesn't know all of the...
John, come on, John, you know this. They don't want to sit down with you. They don't have to. They're going to roll your ass over.
The issues within the best people that can make the decision are those that are closest to it.
No.
And we're pushing that out. And it is not in the best interest of the community. It's not in the best interest of our...
They don't care about the community. They don't care about the employees. Get it through your fucking head. I know you know this, John, because I've been following you for a long time. They don't care about that. These are neoliberal technocrats. They have an agenda, and they're going to follow it. They're going to get big paychecks for following that. They're going to get fat retirements. That's what they're focused on. Kelsey's not even an American. He has no loyalty to anybody in Portland, and that's why he was hired, to implement an agenda against the people of Portland and the TriMet employees. And then go back to Canada with his big fat pension. They'll give him a nice fat pension, and he'll have destroyed the union. He'd pick up where McFarlane left off.
Members. And again, I would point out that, we have over 2,500 members here at TriMet. And the form that's currently presented to us to communicate with the board of directors is a limited 3-minute time frame in this arena. I encourage you to talk about other ways that we can...
Yeah, it's a disgrace. This is a disgrace. The union leadership gets 3 minutes in front of the board. There is no union. The union is dead. It's dead. There's no union. It's so sad to see how this is played out. how the union has been completely neutered, has no power at all. And the union employees should take responsibility for that. They're the ones that never had any solidarity. I remember when the call came out to not work RDO work, and everybody didn't pay attention. So the union members have themselves to blame for where they're going to go. It's not really John's fault or Shirley's fault. Your fault is it's the current employees' fault because they were cowards and they didn't care, and now they're going to pay the price.
Have this communication. Maybe, in some of our locations, we actually have board members that participate in negotiations. I'm just asking that we create more opportunities to look at what else is possible. Because I'm telling you, the way we're currently doing business is costing us more money, it's costing us safety, and it is something that doesn't need to happen. You've heard from testimony from our folks that we're willing to sit down and talk about these issues. It's really hard to say, let's talk about the issue. No, wait, we're actually going to go to court instead, and we'll see if we even really need to have that conversation. That is not a partnership. We have been in existence for over 103 years. We are the exclusive bargaining unit and representatives for this organization. I don't understand why, moving forward, we don't have a resolution from the board that says, before you contract out anything, we develop a committee with the ATU, the board, respective staff, and we talk about what is in the best interest of our community. That is what we're here for. It is for the public. This is not a multi-business that we are here to make a profit, but in order to take care of our folks. I appreciate your time, and I encourage you to get involved.
John used to be much more of a fighter. This is not the John Hunt I knew. He was a much bigger attack dog back when I knew him, back when I was there. He's been pacified. Of course, John and Shirley, they make six-figure incomes, irregardless of all of this. Do they really care? I question it, man, because they're sitting fat and happy. He's not having to get underneath a bus and work on it. He was a mechanic. Shirley's retired from TriMet. She's got a nice fat pension and plus $130,000 a year job for the ATU. They're not. This is what's happened with the unions in America, man. The union executive leadership has all gotten six-figure salaries, and they're not that interested anymore in really taking on the institutions. They're part of the institutions. I mean, it all sounds good on paper, John, but come on, man. Don't be begging these motherfuckers. Just have an action. Do a job action. The only thing they're going to listen to is an action, not this. They don't care what you say. They care what you do.
Encourage you to find out why, on the most important issue, at least in my world, for contract negotiations, why did that take a full month before you've even had a conversation? Because I'm telling you,
so sad.
We're going in the wrong direction, folks,
yes,
and I need your help.
And you've been going in the wrong direction for years, and the board's not going to help you, okay? They're against you, John. They're against you. And now we're going to listen to how Stovall respond, and you'll see he's against you. He's not your friend. He's your enemy. He's against you, and he wants to defeat you. Listen.
Thank you.
Okay,
John, appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
Listen.
Appreciate your cogent, concise response. You've made some great points.
But
And
yeah,
I think
right.
that
But listen.
as a board, we need to listen.
No, you don't. You're not going to.
While, as you've heard me say before, I'm not going to get in the middle of negotiations. I am more than happy to break off some time and from an informational standpoint and be informed.
From an informational standpoint, he's gaslighting you, John. This guy is one of the worst TriMet apologists I've ever run into. He's gaslighting you all the way. He's bullshitting you. He's a liar. I don't trust this guy. He needs to be off the board. His term is over. He needs to be gone. Okay? Don't talk to him. You're wasting your time.
Informed as to what the ATU sees and all those types of things.
Yeah,
To be a
you don't care.
board
Stop
member. Again,
lying.
I'm not going to jump into negotiation conversation, but certainly from an information standpoint.
Yeah, he's not going to jump into negotiation conversation, right? He's going to leave that to Kelsey and his henchmen, the son of McFarland, the biggest union buster in the history of TriMet. Yeah, this is disgraceful. This is disgraceful.
Point, I am more than willing
You're fucking
as a
full
board
of
member
shit.
to be informed
I
as to
say
what's
you're
going
full
on.
of shit, Stovall.
So I'm happy to reach out. You're
You're not happy to reach out. Why haven't you reached out? You said last month you'd meet with him, and you didn't do it. You lied. You lied. You're a liar. Look at him. Look at him with this fucking smirk on his face. I want to smash his face in. Look at him. God.
Like I said, connect from an informational standpoint.
And from an informational,
Appreciate that,
fuck you,
And I've
Stovall.
done that before, so this isn't something that's brand new today.
I was going to have Eli come over and present my testimony, but I knew there was a waste of time to talk to these. You're wasting your time. They don't care. They're fakes. Okay, I'm going to have Eli do other work than this shit because they're liars, thieves, and cheats. Just like our president. These people are on the same level as he is.
I've done that with previous leadership. I've spent some time with you even in the past.
Yes, look at that
from
smile.
the
He's got
informational
that
perspective,
smile
so I'm
that's
happy to
always
do
on
that
his
going
face. He's a
forward,
fucking,
as always.
Travis is really, he's going to run for office.
All right.
Good morning, Board. My name is Rachel Rodri, and I am a 23-year-old environmental science student at Portland State University. I choose to not own a car in an attempt to minimize my own personal carbon footprint, so I feel extremely blessed to live in a city with effective and reliable public transportation. I use TriMet every single day. I use the bus to get to work, the streetcar to get to school, and the MAX to get around downtown. I took the MAX here today, and I'll take the 8 home.
Yeah, I lived in Northwest Portland 20 years. Really, you can't complain about TriMet if you live in downtown area of Portland. I mean, you got service all the time. I mean, the worst I ever had I used to take the 15 all the time. The worst suffering I ever did was the 15 used to be late. If you live in Central City, Portland, you got good transit. During business hours, don't listen. During the evening hours, you got shit, but during business hours, you can get around.
I love riding through the surface streets of Portland. It expands my empathy for people who are less privileged than I. I'm here today because despite my reliance and true gratitude for TriMet services, I am appalled at the short-sighted and reckless behavior taken and the actions taken by the TriMet board.
Good for you, lady.
Last fall, the TriMet board authorized an order for 159 new diesel buses that will cost $200 million and will spew toxic particulate into the air.
Yes, they will, but they're good buses. Okay? The Nova buses are nice. So I know they're ridiculous that they did that, but they're going to get you nice buses.
In the city I love for at least the next 16 years. For some context, I'll be in my 40s by the time these buses stop running.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be in my
In December,
80s.
the Portland City Council voted to readopt a ban on any new fossil fuel infrastructure, and 159 new diesel buses is a blatant display of new fossil fuel
I should
infrastructure.
be dead any minute.
To make matters even worse, the first 131 diesel vehicles are set to run along the Division Transit Project,
Yeah.
a corridor historically populated by minority and working class
Goddamn
communities.
pork barrel.
The filthy waste from the first
program.
131 buses will certainly contribute to massive public health setbacks in
Yeah,
these already
of course they will.
disenfranchised communities,
Yeah, that's
especially among their most vulnerable citizens,
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
children, and older adults.
Yeah.
All other
Oh,
major
well.
U.S. cities and cities abroad are adopting renewable infrastructure. What is setting Portland behind? TriMet must take immediate action to rectify their wrongdoing. The board must acknowledge that we're in
Yeah,
a
right.
climate state of emergency and reverse the $200 million for the new 159 diesel buses as soon as possible.
I told you it's too late. They signed the contract. And you know how contracts are, right? When it involves taxpayer money, they got to pay them. Because it's taxpayer money.
TriMet must develop a formal zero-emission fleet transition program that clearly outlines how they intend to comply with Portland City regulations regarding new fossil fuel infrastructure.
She's 23 years old. What do you expect from a young woman like, you think government cares about you, you poor thing. You'll find out. You'll learn. You'll see it.
And establish a new fleet of buses that run on entirely renewable energy. The first...
But they can't figure it out. The electric bus idea, we can't figure out how to do it. It just doesn't work, America. We don't know how to do it.
Vehicles from this new renewable fleet should be designated for the Division Transit Project, as these disenfranchised communities deserve service but do not deserve to be poisoned by diesel buses. I fail to see how a board of appointees has the authority to authorize this much toxic particulate being released into the air. Allowing these diesel buses to hit the streets of Portland is irresponsible given the findings of all relevant climate science and negligent when considering the public health of already disenfranchised communities in our city.
Good for
Do
her.
the right thing. No new diesel buses.
I'm too late.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good, young lady. I'll give her an A+ for effort. But you're talking to a bunch of sock puppets, and they've already signed the contract. Look, here's Kelsey smirking. See? He's smirking over there. I don't see what's her name, Way. She's not smirking. What about Ozzy? He's kind of smiling. Ozzy, by the way, I thought he was on Twitter to talk about TriMet, but he was only there to campaign for his mayoral. I wouldn't vote for him in a million years. Sarah's the only candidate worth voting for over there. Very good, young lady.
Austin Lethbridge Scarl and Charles Bridge Crane Johnson.
Oh, Charles.
These are the last two.
Oh, he's good. Charles Bridge Crane is great. I love him. Here he comes. Charles is the guy that do the water. A cup of water. I think it was a complete police commission hearing. He threw the water in the guy's face. I have a video of that on my YouTube channel.
Good morning. My name is Austin Lethbridge Scarl. I do work with various climate groups, but today I'm definitely here representing myself. I am not happy about TriMet's plan to purchase 31 new diesel buses. Other testimony has explained why this is such a bad idea.
There's a lot of people that are pissed off about it. I'm sorry, folks. You're too late. You didn't know the right people. You just didn't. It was too late by the time you got up here. It's too late.
Yeah, and I won't rehash it. Others can explain it better than I can, and that's not actually why I'm so upset. It's the way you said it. When you announce that you're eliminating diesel buses by 2040, we think that means you're retiring buses you already have and not buying more. When you say you won't be using diesel in 20 years, we think that means no more carbon emissions and not just the possibility of switching to other fossil fuels. These statements are not lies, but they are extremely misleading.
Yeah.
And I need you to understand something about your contract with the people of the Portland metro area, not the contracts that manage funding, hire drivers, or secure parts, but the social contract that you share with every person who rides with you.
Good for you.
When the people of the Portland metro area choose to use public transit instead of driving, or, like me, owning a car at all, they believe they're doing the right thing for the environment. They are trusting you to make the right decisions on their behalf. They are trusting you to reduce their own carbon footprint. They have faith that you support their vision of a sustainable future. The purchase of these diesel buses suggests you see this relationship differently. It suggests you either don't understand this trust or don't take it seriously, even as you benefit from it every day. So here's what I need. If you think I am wrong, if you think I am misunderstanding your relationship with the people of the metro area, I need you to say it. Say that it's not your responsibility to help pull our climate back from the brink.
Yeah.
Say that I should expect you to cut corners regardless of the ultimate cost. Say that I was wrong to put my faith in you.
Nice.
I can't control how TriMet sees the world, and if you think that I am wrong about this, then so be it. But please correct the record and say it to my face.
There you go.
I live here in Portland and on this planet, and I deserve to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right. Good for you, brother. Good for you. You're right in that.
Mr. Bridge Crane Johnson, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall, and other members of the board, director, and council. I guess we should congratulate Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, you missed the coronavirus and the AIDS. In our previous remarks, we learned that the Providence Park Max station is going to be a hotbed for the coronavirus. Thank you, Providence staffers. Perhaps we need to have Dr. Linda Simmons get in touch with Dr. Amy Compton-Phillips of Providence. It's a little bit distressing to not know when people are speaking publicly and privately, and they talk about epidemic and pandemic outbreaks at Max stops.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting in touch with Providence as well.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Thank you, Multnomah County Democrats and all kinds of Democrats that aren't walking out on their jobs, particularly Multnomah County Democrats, because they organized to remind you we need to be, even though we may have signed some contracts and made some votes, we need to be ever vigilant about any economic opportunity to move away from contract for more diesel
Yep.
and replace even one to all of those buses with electric.
Too late. They're not going to do it.
I'm not going to be the most popular person with the environmentalists because I'm going to say that, as you probably mentioned in your previous conversation, there's complexities about electric buses from China and demand and scarcity. But I hope that the general manager and yourselves and all of us will be very vigilant looking for opportunities to go to zero emissions vehicles without completing the contract for so many diesel buses.
Too late. You're too late.
I took a second to highlight the testimony from some of the Providence people. The one who spoke the best, they were in sequence, did talk about accessibility issues around Providence with the closing of the Kings Hill station.
Terrible.
I go there a lot. I didn't get solicited for prostitution yet. I'm not going to let that damage my ego. But I think I could actually walk without crossing any max tracks, depending on which crosswalk I used. So, but I think what your job is to make sure the general manager is going to have some customer service staff there and talk about which path you can take and not cross any max tracks, and whether that takes 37 seconds longer in a wheelchair or 1 minute and 30. So that information is there.
Take
People
longer
see
than
friendly
that,
faces.
Charles.
I never see unfriendly faces there. Sometimes there are friendly faces holding open bottles of wine and such, like yesterday. So they're
Charles, I live there. Okay, I know what the 18th Avenue Max stop is. Okay, it's sketch. I lived there for 20 fucking years. I've been gone for a long time, 8 years, but I've been gone for 4 years from Portland. I think it's 4. I don't know. I've lost track. It's sketch. That area is a sketch area.
there is a work for the safety team to do. I don't think it calls for law enforcement at all. Just presence of some, preferably the people you.
Charles, we'll have somebody over there looking at this on Friday, and I have control. We have somebody that's going to take a video of all this, and we'll see.
Actually, seem to have G4S doing a better job of bringing happy, shiny people of color into the workforce. When I'm on TriMet, it seems that the G4S contract, even though there are some mall cop wannabe white boys, there are also very engaging men and women of color doing that work. So make sure that the person we brought up from BART.
Charles, you're disappointing me. We don't want anything to do with G4S. I don't care if they've made it politically correct. We don't want anything to do with them.
To be our safety director is less interested in giving cops overtime and more interested in the actual personalities of the people that are going to be on the train in uniforms. Credit to Ari for the AIDS input, and I can't speak on Wes. That's a big mess. So we'll get into that next month. Thank you all for your time and moving towards zero emissions as fast as possible.
Thank you so much for your comments, as always.
Travis.
Informative and entertaining.
Yeah.
That concludes the public comment for this morning. As always, it is very helpful.
Right. Stop lying to me. God.
The insight and input.
I really wish I could. If I had, I was going to prepare testimony and have it presented for me, but I just didn't do it. I'm not. You guys. You need somebody to really know what's going on. What was it? Hold on.
That everybody brings, and so we greatly appreciate the opportunity. At this point, we'll close the public forum, and we'll look to move to the actual board meeting and the business of today.
All right. Well, we don't care about. I'll get to that another day. I just wanted to do the public testimony. 7 votes up. I should vote down, but I never vote down on TriMet material because, I'm always like conflicted about TriMet. On the one hand, I can't stand them. On the other hand, I love them. So I just stay out of directly making comments on TriMet material on TriMet websites. I don't mess with them. I have my own website, so I just use my own little spot. I don't like to mess with them directly. I'd vote that down though, but I'm not gonna.